Good evening and welcome to the Minions of the Zoo Saturday edition. I'm your host and keeper of the Hairy Channel, and with me tonight are Minions DrFunctional, Serenity Star 13,
Hello.
and Sora Luna.
Hi.
We might get a late SkepTok. It's hard to say. I'm sure Skep is like so busy. He retired to basically get busier. It's I'm sure his life was simpler when he was working. But he's got so much extended family and he's doing so much stuff. It's really retirement in name only for that guy. So if he's getting his sleep, that's good. So, DrFunctional. Has he stepped away? DrFunctional. Or not DrFunctional. Dr. Dysfunctional. Let's move on to Serenity. Hi, Serenity.
Hello.
So I was looking at the drought thing, the drought map, and it was saying that you guys haven't had much rain in West Virginia. What's going on? Did you offend the gods?
No, it's just because there keep being tropical and hurricanes that are pushing their hot air up to us.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just pushing all the rains away. But drought for us is very different than drought for California because our trees are still green.
Yeah.
So, for the most part, it's dry patches of grass. And that's about it.
Yeah, well, in California, we sort of know that sometimes it doesn't rain very much for 5 years at a time. So we have like systems to deal with such things. Yeah. I guess, Sora, you guys had a drought several months ago because it just didn't rain for a while. And you're just not used to that. Isn't that correct?
Yeah, unfortunately, because of the weird weather, we had very limited fruits this year. Especially stone fruit. So, yeah, it really sucked.
Yeah, I bought a half flat of strawberries on the way home because they looked really good. And I was sort of amongst the strawberry fields, and it's like, well, they're not going to get any fresher than this. So a half flat of strawberries. You're baking?
Coffee.
Ah.
Before the show.
Oh, sorry. So yes, so I bought a half flat of strawberries, and I'm going to eat as many of them as I can and make freezer jam out of the rest. Because I don't know, strawberries don't taste as good to me if you can them all the way. I think the flavor really suffers from the heat.
It's different. It changes them for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you know you're just going to eat it over the next few months, freezer jam is just fine. Yeah, it's all right.
So far, the strawberries that are over here haven't been too bad. Because I've eaten a bunch of strawberries that we've had here in West Virginia, and they've been pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
But once again, we have the benefit of, even if we have droughts here, we have aqueducts and rivers and wells that are still full because we're not going on years of drought. We're just going on months.
Yeah.
That.
Well, there are places on the planet where they've just been like a bunch of drunken sailors digging holes in the ground, going down to the aquifer and just draining water out of it like there would never be a consequence.
Stupidest fucking thing.
That's what they do around Skep's territory and a lot of other places. It's like, why is my house falling?
One of the boroughs around here is named the Giant Strawberry.
Is it?
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's
Being
cute.
generations long strawberry fields up Mississauga, which is basically the west end of Toronto.
Yeah, well, the strawberry activists, Big Strawberry, put together a study recently, and they found that, there's just all these benefits to eating strawberries. It makes you handsomer, makes your gonads shiny, makes you live longer. I mean, just whatever. I mean, because it's all nonsense, right? Big Strawberry gives a bunch of people some money, says, go make a study to show that strawberries are good for you. They're going to come back with that result. one way or the other. Although I'm sure it didn't actually say.
They did that, Big Egg did that here too.
Yeah. Oh, eggs. Oh, those are the best.
Big Egg is real big in Canada.
Yeah.
Really big.
Yeah. Did you know
Don't cross Big Egg in Canada.
Do you buy your eggs in bags as well?
Even I'm afraid to talk about Big Egg.
Do your eggs also come in bags?
No, cartons. What are you, a savage?
I mean, your milk comes in bags. I figure anything's possible.
Your eggs go in cartons. What are you talking about?
I don't know who you're talking about eggs being in cartons. I get mine from the butt.
That's right. Hers are still warm.
Directly from the source.
From the booty.
Yeah.
I mean, those are the best kind of eggs.
There
Like,
is-
when you collect them in the morning and you literally take them from the coop into the frying pan, and it's the most delicious egg you've ever had.
The best egg to have though is turkey. Turkey eggs are amazing.
Oh, they're
Are
so,
they?
They're massive, but they're amazing.
they're not like massive like ostrich eggs, but they're
when you're
so
used
good.
when you're used
They're a
to
lot
chicken eggs.
richer.
Yes, they are. But turkeys. I think it's a payoff for turkeys being assholes.
Yeah.
They have to make the eggs better, so this way you can more willing to put up with
Tolerate
the
them.
turkeys.
Yeah.
Goose eggs are fine.
It's all part of their big plan.
I don't like runner duck eggs because I don't like runner ducks. Because it seems cruel to me that they can't fly.
And I think the whole quail egg fiasco in modern culinary parlance is way overplayed. I think it's just, oh, look at the cute little egg. I'm going to place it on the tiny little bite of food.
Quails and guinea hens are better for pest control. Because
Their eggs are just like, whatever.
their eggs are not
Take 'em or leave
pressing.
'em.
Decoration.
All eggs are good, but like, I
Yeah.
think the reason why they just keep putting them in everything is just because they're so tiny and
Well, they can charge more for them
fruit
because
is. And that's the
quails
thing.
don't produce as many eggs per year as chickens and ducks do.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's only like 50.
I don't
I
even
don't-
think it's that.
I have guinea hens, and we don't eat their eggs. Their eggs get used for the horse's meal when we need them to put some more weight on.
Yeah, it's wonderful how a farm has interconnectivity between the different things that people don't seem to realize. Sorry, I'm getting inundated. I gotta go on a little bit of a rant now, Harry.
Okay.
I'm sorry to sort of hijack Serenity's time, but I was
No,
first,
go for it.
and I told you I was doing a little coffee, but oh well. I stubbed my toe again today. It was whatever.
No.
I'm being inundated with vegan propaganda everywhere I go.
Oh,
On
same.
my phone, on Facebook, on fucking this and that. Like, where does it all come? Why? Where? Just out of the blue, just vegan. And it's so infuriating because I've worked on a farm. I know how this works. You're a complete fucking moron. Oh,
Nice,
I'm sorry.
very nice.
I'm done.
It's okay.
I needed to get that off my chest.
Oh, no,
Wow.
you're fine.
I didn't even realize it, but I needed to get that.
Yeah. So I want to show you California's state bird, and I try not to laugh too hard. It's this guy.
Oh, hello, little fella.
Look at that little unit. Look at him.
God, that's
That's
so
a dapper
cute.
fellow.
You know what's
You can
really
like punt
Good
him
for
down the street.
California.
they're obviously
dumber than
really
rocks,
they are
too.
the dumbest birds. And
They are so stupid.
but what is really funny is I remember bicycling out in the country, and it's quiet, absolutely quiet. Just I'm in the middle of nowhere. And this was when crime wasn't quite so bad. If I was on that same road right now, I'd probably be sold for parts. You know, my body would be chopped up and sold for parts. It's just amazing how different things are 25 years later. But you'd go around a corner and, you know, it's absolutely quiet here on this bicycle, and it makes no noise except for me complaining about riding up this stupid hill. And I'd startle some quail, and they would just run along. And when they run, they look even more ridiculous than when they're stationary, because their little diphthong thing on top of their head flops
Boingy,
around
boingy,
while they.
boingy.
Yeah, they're just the stupidest animals. But yeah,
With the babies.
yeah,
The babies are adorable, but they're dumber than rocks.
yeah.
Like I know people who had domesticated quails for a while, and they're just stupid. The babies are adorable, yes, but that's
Yeah.
a New Zealand one, I think.
Yeah, it
I
is.
don't. Yeah.
Yeah,
Which means it's a dangerous animal because New Zealand is paranoid about everything. But anyway,
means it's probably poisonous.
guinea hens are awesome. I love guinea hens. They have a terrifying
yo, away.
call, but they're good pest controllers. They're amazing. Like, they obviously don't eat mice, but if you have
All the small little insects.
ticks, they take care of ticks really well.
Mhm.
If the animals will trust them, they'll take care of fleas. They're really good at giving warning calls if they see something, because chickens sometimes are too stupid to look up, but the guinea
Yeah.
hens will look up, and if they see something, they'll get their little, and then everybody will dash for the bushes. So
So this
But
is
yeah.
usually where I ask Skep to, to get him ready for his future as a Walmart greeter at some point. You know, where he gets the vest and all that sort of stuff.
there you go.
Because I just see him he's never going to stop moving. So, would one of you care to greet the the chat,
I can do it.
please?
All right. Good evening, everybody. We've got Cannibalistic Wizard. Welcome as the first one in of the audience. Then we've got Keever Dam, Green Badger Outdoors, Costin. Welcome, welcome.
And
Thank you
everybody
for
else who
joining
hasn't
us.
posted a comment. Welcome to them too. Because I'm sure there's
Yeah,
some
I
people
suppose
lurking.
you're fine too.
There's some lurkers out there too. Mm,
Please lurk.
quail nuggets.
Weird random.
Yeah. Please lurk. All right, so
Quaily McNuggets.
we got a lot of stuff that we could talk about. We don't have to talk about all of it. But I think there's a little something here that's going to make everybody happy. So, first of all, let's just get a little housekeeping out of the way. Did everybody or anybody see any of the Trump on Joe Rogan stuff?
Oh, hell
Nope.
yes.
Okay,
No,
well,
just saw a
Didn't
meme
even
on,
know.
on Twitter.
Didn't even know.
It was great.
Donald Trump did 3 hours on Joe Rogan's show.
Oh, wow.
And you know, he sounded like an old guy. He talked to old guys. Old guys have
Yeah.
stories. Old guys like to tell stories. But he was cogent and coherent, and didn't sound like a feeble old man. He just sounded like, I'm a guy who likes to tell stories. I got a lot of stories to tell. So they talked about things of substance for the first 2 hours, and then I think I haven't quite finished the third hour, but I think the third hour was mostly them just bonding as a couple of bros talking about
I-
fighting.
Can I kind of spoil the ending?
No, please go ahead.
It's not really a spoiler, but Rogan's talking to him, and Trump goes, and he goes, I can't believe it's been 3 hours. And he's like, really, 3 hours? Oh, and Trump looks over and he's like, oh shit, we gotta go. Well, he doesn't specifically say we gotta go. Oh shit, we gotta go. But he has that expression like, oh my god, lost track of time. We gotta get to the next event. I gotta go. And then the show just kind of like ends because he didn't realize, and he wasn't even looking at any of his handlers to be like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
time to go.
It turns out he was late for an event that same day, and I think we all know
Yep.
why.
Yep.
But he was nearly 3 hours late. He was trying to just sort of squeeze Joe Rogan in, but it worked out well. I mean, I thought it was interesting enough. Unfortunately, Sora has ruined the phrase "gotta go" for me with that "gotta go" flamingo thing.
Gotta go.
So now whenever I hear somebody say "gotta go," I start kind of snickering. But I'm keeping it together. Barely. Overgrown child that I am. Okay. Well, I mean, mostly the substance of it, he didn't say anything that we haven't heard before.
Yeah.
Right? And it's clear that if you're looking for a guy who's like a Jacob Rees-Mogg, who has like a deep technical mastery of everything under the sun, if you're looking for a classical scholar, Donald Trump is not it. He's a normal dude who just happens to have been in the construction business and made a bunch of money. That's what he is.
Not quite, but okay.
What, you don't think he's a normal dude? He seems pretty normal in a lot of ways.
I think he's as normal as he can be considering how long he's had money.
Yeah.
That's my statement.
I've
I
seen
don't
people
think-
become way worse with way less
Oh yeah,
money.
no. That's what I mean. Like he's not Bloomberg. He's nothing like that. But it's just he's as normal as to be expected when you inadvertently, whether you allow it or not, get surrounded by yes men and been divorced 3 times and have a daughter who was a model and 2 wives who were models and then got divorced and all that kind of stuff. He's as normal as you can as you would want from that kind of situation, because there's a certain point where if it's too normal, I think it's fake. It's that kind of thing where I think it's a put on.
Well, he can talk to normal people
Oh yeah.
in a way that doesn't sound completely fake. He doesn't what was it? What do they call it? Not frame shift. I can't remember the thing that they say Kamala supposedly does, where she essentially turns into a human
Tone shifting?
chameleon. Yeah, tone shifting. She's this human chameleon wherever she goes. She she talks to an audience of color, you get one kind of thing. She talks to an audience of a different color, you get a different type of thing. I mean,
Look
he
at
doesn't do that.
AOC, Hillary Clinton,
I mean,
Pocahontas, and
Yeah.
oh my god, he starts off the show by calling out Pocahontas. Oh. He kept making Joe Rogan laugh, which is the best part. Sorry.
Yeah, which is good.
Well, it's like well, the thing is, it has to do with your background.
Yeah.
Kamala worked her way. Take that statement as you will. up through the ranks of a political attorney, basically, because she wanted to be DA and was a cop and all that other bullshit. So she had to do that. Whether I agree with who she is or not, it makes sense for that job. When you do construction, you're either dealing with salt of the earth motherfuckers who have busted their ass their entire lives to get up to where they are, or you're dealing with the mob.
Or annoying
it's just-
customers, or
Yeah, but
you know, a lot of
but still,
bureaucrats.
It's the difference in, do I schmooze and booze these guys to just get them to listen to me a little bit and so we can get on the same table, or do I get on my knees and do what I have to make sure things happen because I'm politically inclined? It's that kind of stuff. It's just a difference in who they are. It's just that's just how it is, and that's the reason why she doesn't come off as relatable, and he does, even though technically he has more money than she will ever see.
I'm being surrounded by some very sus-looking kittens right now.
Oh no!
Please send help.
They're gonna get
Okay.
you.
They're just sitting staring at me.
Yeah, I mean, it is a useful skill. It
Yeah.
just depends on how you deploy it. Like in the way that political speakers do it, it's very nefarious because it makes you seem like you're talking down to somebody. When you do it in certain social settings, you're doing it to sort of more easily blend the thing, the like, what's
Blur the
word I'm looking
lines.
for? The vibes, like just
Yeah.
I don't
And
know.
then that's the thing. It's like,
Be-
being able to speak is a very good thing. Being able to schmooze is a very good thing, especially with politicians. Because let's face facts, it's not like it was back in the old days where you had people who actually like work their way up from nothing to become politicians or anything like that. Most politicians now are the cast-offs of families who, they're either bastard children of families who they can't acknowledge the fact that they're there, but mommy and daddy are going to pay to make sure they get in a position where they make their own money and won't embarrass them. Or B, they're like the second, third, fourth, fifth son or cousin of some old name, so they're a legacy, so they get put into a political position, one, to help their family, and two, just to kind of give them something to do to get them away from the business, this way they don't fuck it up. Like, that's what most politicians here, Canada, Europe, Mexico, all of them are. Like, occasionally you do have salt of the earth who've busted their ass and gotten up there, but it's like, I mean, at the height of it, how many fucking Kennedys were in power in some form or another?
Sure.
And
It was a lot.
we've seen how stupid some of them were.
Yeah. Fetterman is a rarity, really.
Yes. But it's just that kind of thing of that's how most of it is. And occasionally you have ones who actually want to help people, and by helping people they also help themselves, which is a Trump thing. And then you have other ones like Kamala, who she's very much Hillary 2.0. This is my checklist. I deserve to be president because I have done everything right and kissed the right asses. And it's like, that's not how this works. Get out. But that's kind of, yeah. And yes, Green Badger, I'm saying she's a working girl.
That's what you implied
Yes.
heavily.
Heavily. There are heel marks everywhere except the floor. We'll just put it that way.
Oi.
But that's just kind of, but that's kind of how it is. And you're seeing it a lot, and you're seeing it lower levels too, of where you are just having grifters getting to certain positions and certain power. But yeah, that's just the difference. Do I think Trump's perfect? No, I don't think Trump's perfect. And nobody here is saying he
No,
is.
God, no. He's
But
not
he's
even my
better than
first
her.
choice. He's not even my first choice to be president.
same.
Yeah.
Same. Absolutely.
I would like to see somebody who pays more attention to the debt,
Yes.
for instance, because it's going to be a problem. But you know what? The debt is not as immediate a problem as the border is.
Yeah.
I
Nice
think
segue.
that and the his economic plan was sort of a long-term solution to
Yeah.
lower the debt. Just listening to him on Rogan, for instance, he asked him directly. He's like, "How do these tariff things like why should we believe you and what?" And he simply lays out, well, if we make it more incentivized to produce stuff here, then that stimulates our economy, blah, 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 blah. You know the thing. So I think that it is kind of intertwined. And then that was a long-term problem. How do you slash, what is it, $3 trillion overnight? I don't think that that's a realistic sort of
It's
idea.
something that's going to take time.
I'm not saying that
over
Harry
years,
is saying that. I'm just saying I don't think that that is a realistic idea. But
Oh, yeah.
Well, depending on which estimate you're looking at, the migrants that we've let in recently, we're looking at, when I researched it a month ago, because I was going to put it in the show and it just didn't make the cut. It worked out to about $170 billion a year. That's what we're spending on letting people into this country and handing them $10,000 in cell phones and all that stuff. It's about $170 billion a year. We could make it more. We could let more people in. I mean, why not, right?
Do it.
Yeah, do it. Sure. Nice town of 35,000 people you have here. How do you feel about 30,000 refugees?
and what were the
who don't
estimates
speak
on
the same language as you, by the way?
what was the estimate on the wall? Like 25 billion? So I
Yeah.
think that would have been a savings had
Yes.
that been the
Oh,
route.
what a savings. Yes. Sorry.
Pass the savings on to you.
No, I was thinking of Galaxy Quest with
Yeah.
John Rickman. Oh, by Hrothgar's hammer. Oh, what a savings. Anyway, I just wanted to, if you guys had seen it, I wanted to give you an opportunity to talk about it. And I think we've talked about it. Is there anything else we want to say about the Trump on Joe Rogan thing, other than for people who haven't seen it? It's you might be able to
awesome.
skip
It's
the
pretty
last
funny.
hour,
Yeah,
but
I mean,
you
if
should
you-
check it out.
If you like Trump and find him funny, then you'll like it. I mean, Rogan does kind of try to not taking him to task, but I mean, is giving him like honest, genuine questions. And they're also, like you said, basically the last 45 minutes to an hour, they're basically talking about fighting and fighters and
They're bonding.
boxing and UFC and the dangers
Yeah.
of and just
Yeah,
guy
well, that's
talk.
what I meant about him being a dude. He may be a dude with money, but he's capable of just duding out with a guy who's also a dude.
Yeah,
Joe
And
Rogan's a
he-
dude.
Oh my god, he opines over Barron so much. It's so cute.
Hey, it's nothing
glad
wrong
he
with
lo-
being a
I-
good
I'm-
dad.
he loves
You
his-
love your kids. I
Yeah,
mean, it's great.
Well, there's a lot of
that's why I
rich.
said it's cute.
There's a lot of rich dads who do not love their children.
Yeah, a lot of people
yeah,
suck.
of course.
He seems to actually love his children, like all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Like not a you were birthed by my favorite wife, so I prefer you, but as a you're all my babies, and you're my babies. Mind you, Baron's now taller than him. Jesus,
Yeah, he's like
Yeah,
7
no,
foot
he's
something.
amazingly tall.
Crazy.
Holy
it's
moly.
like goddamn son.
Yeah.
Jesus, slow down.
So to address what Jen's saying, I'm still planning to watch it, but I'm hoping Monkey will cover it. Well, I'm confident Monkey will cover it. I'd say
Monkey will absolutely fucking cover
I'm
it.
surprised he didn't cover it yesterday, but
Monkey will cover it for 5 shows.
yeah, no, there's a meal there for Monkey. A big,
Oh yeah.
big monkey-sized meal. He
Big
and
old
Jack are going to
banana.
have a good time with this.
Oh yeah.
But we have other things to talk about as well, because politics isn't really like our number one thing here, right? I don't know, what is our number one thing? Talking about otters, cute animals,
Whatever
penis
Harry
news.
forces us to talk about.
Yeah. Oh, well, what else matters?
Mostly it's mostly either us bitching about economic stuff, bitching about space.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the 2 big ones.
Well,
that
we're
I can
not.
think
If
of
that's
off
what
the
you're
top.
looking for, you're not going to be let down tonight. But there is a parody of that ridiculous ad, that sort of Men for Harris ad that was put out with all the fake actors pretending to be cowboys and everything else. Do you know the one I'm talking about?
Nope.
Okay.
I don't watch TV,
I'm just going to
so I
skip it
don't
because
see
it's stupid. I'm just going to show you some of the parody. So here's a parody of that Men for Harris ad that came out a couple weeks ago.
Oh god.
I'm a very fat man.
I'm a black man.
I'm a bearded man.
I'm a
This I've
horseman.
seen.
Today
No,
I'll
this
be
is the
coming out and
comedy one.
identifying as a bearded
Yeah.
woman.
Dark.
I identify
Wait, the
as
original one
non-binary.
wasn't
Dark
parody?
enough to be chosen
Yeah.
to represent the blacks and get a paycheck for doing so.
I'm about the size of like 4 men. Okay,
I mean,
maybe
it's,
more
the
like
same-
6
it's a
men.
voiceover.
I'm also genderqueer.
That's what Democrats are for.
I'm not just a horseman, okay? I love horses. Love them.
I'm a powerful woman.
I'm gender fluid. One of my eyes looks over this way, the other looks that way.
I want to use my horse to start a family. Don't you judge me.
How much longer you need me for?
I can't see shit anyways.
A horse wants to be president?
My preferred pronouns are V and VER with the optional czar, but only on Sundays.
I say let the horse be president.
Look, I got places to be and things to do, okay?
I'm also experimenting with transspeciesm, and I identify as black.
Look, I don't know how big I am. The scales are inside and I can't fit through the door.
I'm also a part-time trans pansexual.
I'm man enough to bareback my horse and suck. All worth it.
I'm a strong, independent, powerful woman.
I need a shit.
Love my horse.
Look, I haven't seen my penis in way over 30 years.
Really love.
Okay if I go?
So, we done?
And I'm sick and tired of people telling me just who and what I can and cannot fuck. I mean, love is love, man.
The smell of cheese don't faze me.
I'm Transelfium.
I love my horse and my horse loves me.
Okay, so I'm done here, all right? Got shit to do.
I'm a woman in charge.
Help pay for my trans operations.
So, considering how much I
Oh,
hate that ad,
God.
I feel better now, don't you? It's cleansing. It's cleansing. It
That was
makes me
something
feel
special.
better. It was something special. Love is love.
Well, I wish him and his horse a long,
Yeah.
healthy
No,
life.
no.
So let's get some follow-ups done. Just to get that out of the way. I mentioned that some asshole was breaking a bunch of glass in San Francisco. They put some nice glass up near the BART station. That's the rapid
Yes.
transit thing.
Yeah.
Well, they caught the guy, thankfully, but it turns out the total damage the guy did before they caught him was $500,000.
Oh, fuck.
How terrible a person do you have to be to break $500,000 worth of the public's glass? And you know, they're probably going to just, hey, it's by the cannabis editor. Cool. You know that he's probably just going to be found to be disturbed and that it was really our fault for putting the glass somewhere where he might break it. I really just want them to throw away the key with these people. Like I said, let's give jail a chance.
Is it still not gone to the ballots as the new thingy-mabobber that has to do with prosecuting and...
Yep, it's going. It's 36. It's widely favored by everybody, even Democrats.
So it hasn't gone to the vote yet, though?
No. It's going to be voted on same time as the presidential election.
Oh, okay, that's what I was curious about, because everybody kept talking about how, like, it's 70%, 70%, 70%.
Yep.
kind
Well,
of
there
thing,
are
so-
actually several important things on the ballot. One of them is a rent control initiative. And one of my
Yeah, because that's worked for New York, guys. Way to
one
go.
of my liberal friends. See, the thing is that a lot of people I know are really smart, but they're just influenced by being in California. They catch it like a disease. It's like herpes, and the California flares up every now and then and causes problems.
Harry, God damn it.
It's true, but these are like smart people. So my friend ended up going and talking to somebody else, met a new person, a new friend. My friend has a new friend.
How dare he?
And the new friend is like a retired person who did property management for a bunch of different places.
Vetting them first.
They had a conversation about what it's like to actually try to be a landlord or a property manager in California. And it was enough, that in-person conversation completely made my friend do a 180 on that ballot measure, 32.
Good 180 or bad 180?
No, a good 180.
Okay, good.
Because I see this happen all the time where people, I get to see the cognitive dissonance happen where people go, I really don't want to vote for Republicans, but I hate it when they build 8-story buildings in my backyard and cast me into perpetual darkness because they want more housing. You know, so things happen that just seem, because mostly they don't think about politics, but every now and then something happens and I get to watch them magically become not woke. It's a beautiful thing when it happens. And usually it's like it takes 2 or 3 of these events to really push them over the edge. Next thing you know, they're not Democrats anymore. They're not woke. So the moral of the story is the more people stop hanging out online and like go have conversations with other people, the more all of the bullshit falls apart. The bullshit narrative only exists in the rarefied atmosphere of the internet. Once actual people start talking about real things of consequence, a lot of this bullshit just disappears. Anyway, that's just my thesis about that.
Well, it's one of those things. It depends. Because it depends on what part of the internet you're on. Because for me, and I think a few other people, both in chat and present, being on the internet just makes me hate the other side more.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, get away from me, demon.
But the normies on the internet have a very distorted view of things. If 90% of the news coverage is slanted, if it's basically journalism, with an agenda, right? And that's what people consume, they're going to get a very slanted view of the world. It's only when you go outside and talk to people who actually know something that sometimes they can shake off the programming.
Yeah.
Yeah, it took one lunch for my friend to go from being completely wrong about something to completely right about it. It's a beautiful thing to see when it happens. I would like to see more people use their critical thinking skills, but maybe that's too much to hope for. Remember Super Mayor Tiffany Henyard? Well, she's really trying to get evicted out of her house. So Cook County Sheriff's trying to serve Dolton Mayor Tiffany Henyard with eviction papers. Now, I was trying to figure out how did we get to this place? What sequence of events happened? Well, it turns out that her property manager, they had a property tax increase, and she tried to pass that $200 a month on to them as tenants. And so they said, no, we're not going to pay that. We don't have to pay that because we're special. Not only are we not going to pay that, they just decided to stop paying altogether, and we won't leave. So not only are we going to not pay the $200 a month increase, which takes it to, I think, $2,200, if I remember what it was. Sorry, I misplaced it. But anyway, I guess it says she makes $300. So they raised it $200 to $2,400 a month because her property taxes went up again. And Henyard's like, no, not going to pay it. And now she's making a lot of threatening noises about not just these people, but other people in the town she doesn't like, maybe prosecuting them and trying to throw them in jail. So it's going to get super fun in Dolton Township here real soon because on the one hand, she's going to be trying to lock people up. On the other hand, she's going to get kicked out of her house. Yeah, it'll be fun. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a fantastic thing. All right. Let's see. Oh, there was another one of those. This is just another quick follow-up. Another one of those tiny house kits. This one's from the Home Depot. $22,999. Comes with hassle-free installation plans.
Oh, that's not bad.
It's not bad at all. Although it looks like something I'd build in Minecraft.
Hey, man, it's the simplest thing to do, and people have a harder time fucking it up because all you got to do is pull it up, put a level on it, and make sure the bubble's in the center of the two lines. You're done.
Yeah. Well, you've got to put.
It's not bad. It's actually it's
no, it's
charming,
not bad at all. It's perfectly fine.
And it's like you got a little bit of a protection, so when it starts to rain, you can just kind of run underneath the protection. You got a little like side spot. Yeah.
The unbranded chill out 1-bed, 1-bath crib has everything to live on a budget. 305 square foot steel frame.
That name makes me hate it.
Well, once it's yours, you can name it whatever you want.
I know. It's 305 square feet. That's not bad.
The love box.
The love box.
Ooh, it's cold formed steel. Okay. For the windows and the doors. Roofing and siding. Not bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to have a concrete slab foundation, which depending on where you live, that's expensive. But that's still not bad if you get like an acre and put the concrete slab down.
Yeah. I mean, compared to the $18,000 flat pack one from Amazon, it's really more like a real house.
There's like there's a company that does pack A-frames where it's just like in a little like pack. And there's another company that does like they're not it's like a rounded A-frame where it still has like the point, but it's kind of more of a bubble shape. And they literally just, you slap the two sides of the wishbone together and pull the wishbone up, secure it to the ground, put stuff over top of it, you're done.
Well, this one's like, tell me you like shipping containers without telling me you like shipping containers. Because clearly this is 3 shipping containers and some siding. And that's not necessarily a bad thing because shipping containers kick ass in terms of durability. And also, this would make a great spite house. You know, you could just put it somewhere where you don't like your neighbor. Just put this between you and your neighbor, and put some really annoying people in there, like somebody who's got a kid that's learning to play drums. Put it right on your property line. Yeah.
Someone with a husky.
That would be beautiful.
Or even just like if you have a kid, but the kid isn't like is going to school, but they can't make enough money to live on their own. All right, you're gonna pay me $200 a month in rent. You're going to go live in that building in the back. We're going to see if you can actually take care of yourself, and you're going to learn to take care of your own shit. Get out.
Okay. So let's have the let's have the UBI conversation, shall we?
All right, Sora, go.
Now, okay, so who here, just show of hands, was able to watch the video that I linked?
Me.
Oh, no.
Okay. Well, I'll give you just a taste of it. Okay, so there was a UBI study recently. Here's the description of the study. I'm going to let this guy explain it because he's better at it than I am. And this is actually a pretty cool
Open
channel.
Research, the company who did this research, more about them later, they did the following. They selected 3,000 families from the Dallas area in Texas and from around Chicago in Illinois, and they allocated them into 2 different groups. 1,000 of the participants were in the UBI group. So these 1,000 people received $1,000 per month for 3 years. This $1,000 is gifted, so there was no tax on this money. They didn't affect any of their other benefits. It's just a clean $1,000 straight into these people's bank account over 3 years. And if you do the math, $1,000 a month for 3 years, that's $36,000. Whereas the other 2,000 people in the sample were the control group, and these people were given only $50 a month, which, if you do the math on that, $50 a month.
Yeah, I don't want to be in the control group. So 3,000 people, 1,000 of them got $1,000 a month for 3 years, or $36,000. Now, in the course of this study, they followed these people for 3 years and sort of said, okay, so what about their wealth at the end of this time? Because it isn't just about month-to-month type things. They wanted to say, once you freed people up from these concerns that they had, did they go on to create more wealth for themselves? It's not just about income. Did they actually do something to bring up their wealth, to make themselves be able to withstand a financial disaster? Did they do anything good with this money? Well, hey, Sora, do you happen to remember what they did with the $1,000 a month?
So the short answer is they did not. The long answer is the people with the $1,000 created more leisure in their life.
Mm-hmm.
So they did not use that money to go towards further education, further employment training, or anything like that. They just had, I don't want to say fun because we don't know, but it was just leisure time. So one can argue, medically speaking, possibly that improved their lives, right? Because relaxation,
cortisol levels
stress
lower,
reduction, etc.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was kind of what they were hoping to get out of this is an indication, right? That, we need UBI, because if we give people UBI, they're going to pull themselves by their bootstraps. They're going to enroll in maybe one of those 6 weeks to 6 month college courses. They're going to get a better job, and then that means they're going to be slightly higher than minimum wage, and then they're going to take that job and they're going to get even a better job, et cetera, and then that's how they're going to move their family into better accommodation, better neighborhoods, move to a better city, etc. That didn't happen, because I think what they're hoping for, if that does happen, then it's pure proof that UBI is necessary, because this study was initially started by ChatGPT's owner.
Yep, it was.
And and like the guy says in the video, most likely he was hoping to prove that as AI is going to take over people's jobs, and something like UBI is going to be necessary for a huge chunk of population who may be losing their job to automation, which I think they had the same fear back in the day when things started becoming a little bit more
they did.
automated, and that people still managed to shift themselves into different sectors and survive fine. It's the same idea. They're going to need this to basically hey, sorry we screwed you over by making everything AI and automated, and you lost your kind of grunt work job. But here at least is money. You should be able to take this money and get a different career with it.
Well,
but it didn't quite work out.
So
at least not in the States.
Well, your comment about them knowing about this being a potential problem for a long time. Here's a comic. This is an old comic, old Buck Rogers comic. I don't know how old, but this is probably like the 1930s. So Buck Rogers is like, why isn't everything done automatically here? Because people must work or civilization would decay. And I put in 8 hours a day in the new rocket motor school. Okay, they got it. Okay, they totally understood. But that issue aside, so they were hoping that they would, like I said, build wealth. Not only did they not build wealth, they worked less, achieved less, invested in themselves less, and at the end of it all, they had less savings than the control group. They actually ended up being poorer by over $1,000 on average. So it has negative in every possible way, but the way that the people who want this to be a thing spun it was like this. So here's him describing the spin.
This is a massive disaster. But yet, and the reason why I wanted to make this video, is that when you read about this study in the media, that's not the picture you get at all. If you go on the Open Research website, which you know is the company that did this research, the top headline for their webpage is "Cash Increases Possibility."
Yeah.
If you look at the Bloomberg article, the conclusion to one of the top paragraphs is the main line that the researchers have been touting, which is "Cash increases flexibility." An outlet called The Register talked about it like this: Sam Altman's basic income experiment finds that money can indeed buy happiness.
Yeah, it totally can.
Well, yes, but that's the thing, that wasn't the point initially of this experiment. It's nothing about happiness. It's about trying to prove that, oh yeah, people are definitely going to improve and everything's going to be good. And then when it was the opposite of what they wanted their outcome to be, like most people, they just fudged the statistics and came up with this kind of BS. Of course it can buy happiness. You didn't need a study for that.
So do we have any?
They didn't even. The thing that's really kind of sadly funny is it didn't even improve people's security, right? Because the idea is if you have more money, you can set it aside. Because the thing that sinks a lot of poor people is the emergency cost, right? The sudden emergency, the flooding, the health emergency, the lack of a car suddenly dying, all this sort of stuff, which for other people could be tough. But hey, at least, we'll make it work. We have ways of getting a loaner car, or we have extra insurance for health, et cetera, et cetera.
Yep.
So they're going to make it work. But for the real impoverished people, the idea is like, well, this is going to help you as well. It still didn't help.
So who amongst the three of you is the biggest J.K. Rowling fan? Any of you?
I mean, me and Sora
I
both like Harry Potter
yeah.
a lot, so what's your point?
Functional makes a noise. What was that noise? That was the noise of indifference, right?
I think that's
Okay,
a
good.
take or a lever.
All right. So, but you're aware of sort of her life story. At least one of you two should be. Yeah. She was poor. Things were not going well as a starving artist. Starting out, she was on government assistance, and she went on to become ridiculously wealthy. And I think in their mind, they think, oh, well, if we do this UBI thing, just think we could be creating hundreds out of that 1,000 people. We'd be creating hundreds of J.K. Rowlings, and they're all going to become billionaires. It's going to be great.
But the thing is, that's so stupid, because the biggest thing is that what's a huge difference is education.
Yeah.
She may have been a young. I think she may have already had 1 or 2 children at that point. I'm not sure. I can't remember.
Her youngest was with her at the coffee shop when she went to go write.
The education system of the UK, okay? And I don't remember what her childhood was like. So I'm not saying she went to the best school, whatever, but she was in Devon area, I believe. That has a place which at the time was decently, the education system is decent. The size of the US is massive. I have no idea the areas in Texas where they, or in, I think was it Chicago, was the other one.
Dallas
I don't know.
Chicago.
Dallas and Chicago. The neighborhoods, the areas that they got these people in. What was the school system like there? What education? Because it makes a huge part of it. How your parents teach you at home, how you grow into whether or not, how you're going to view money, how you view its worth. It's going to change based upon both like school education, social education, all sorts of stuff. If you're coming from a place where you see your parents spend them as soon as they get them for whatever reason, whether because they need food or for fun or whatever, and your friends come from the same environment and nobody's telling you about saving and budgeting and doing a bunch of stuff, you're never going to get out of the same quicksand that you're growing up in. And I hate when people compare, like when you see like other success stories, especially if it's not from the same area they're coming from, because it's too different. It doesn't matter if she was also white, impoverished, whatever, and this people are white, impoverished, whatever, and they don't manage to make it like her. Yeah, but the variables are so different. The cosmetics may be the same, but everything else is so different that I don't think it's a right it's a right thing to do. It's a comparison to make. Sorry.
Mhm.
In the video itself, they're talking about the speaker talks about how maybe it would be better to do it in a lump sum instead of a monthly thing, and they use the example of doing this lump sum UBI thing in Libya, I think. And I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. And it's in a village, okay, in a super isolated village, where they have thatched roofing and like grass roof. I'm like, you cannot use this as a possible example to bring it into the North American sphere. Like, it's like, oh, look at this quaint tribe in such and such place. They managed to take the UBI and actually be successful with it. Jesus Christ. I hate these kind of stuff. It's so BS what they like the actual outcomes with these kind of things. Just made me angry.
Well, the foreign thing is interesting because there are plenty of examples where somebody will decide, I'm going to go be, the great white savior. And they go to said village and they need a translator. So what's the first thing they do? They find the teacher at the school and they say, I'm going to pay you more money in one day than you make in 2 years to be my translator and drive around with me and help me understand things so I can come in and save everybody, right? So the kids lose their teacher for a day. This guy makes a whole ton of money. That cash gets dumped into the local economy all at once. Before you know it, the rice farmer doesn't feel like planting any rice because why bother? He's got money. He can just buy rice in a big old bag from some other country that shows up on a ship. And the waves of suck just sort of percolate outward. It's a great day for that teacher who gets paid all that money. Yeah, here's $200. But that's like an amazing thing. It's incredibly destabilizing when Westerners just literally dump money into very poor areas. It causes so much damage.
I remember watching, it was a documentary regarding fast fashion and stuff like that. And there was a segment of it where, the kind of virtue of donating clothes. Like we all, all have a lot of clothes that we want to donate to the needy and stuff like that. And we put it in charity or whatever, because we don't want to actually throw it out in the garbage because we're like, oh no, that's a huge waste. But if we put it in the donation bins or etc., or whatever you do, take it to a church sale, etc., at least it's going to be given to the poor. And there's a lot of these charities that will take these still wearable clothing, but they are second, third hand clothes, and they will send it off to Africa, for example. And they have marketplaces of these second-hand clothing, and it is undermining the local crafts because you can get, a lot of places may get the free or extremely cheap clothes, and then the people who used to spin, make fabric, cut fabric, whatever, and create clothing no longer have a job because people aren't going to them. So it's the same thing. Like, this may not be money, but it is a huge, someone is interfering with what used to have helped the local economy.
Yep.
Very interesting.
Yep.
So J.K. Rowling went to a Church of England school, basically a Catholic school.
No, not basically. That's not how that works. It's not basically a Catholic school.
It's a religious school.
Okay,
it's taught by
it's a Protestant religious school. I'm just saying that if somebody in the C of E heard you say that, they would take great offense.
It's another religious school. It's like
another
Jew
religious
school.
school.
That's what I mean.
It's similar. It's similar to a Catholic school, but there's less kneeling. But yeah,
that's
go
where
on.
she went. Her father worked at a plant. Her parents married when they were 19. She had a couple jobs beforehand. She's apparently bilingual. Didn't know that part. She was a bilingual secretary, a researcher, worked for the Chamber of Commerce, and was an English teacher in 1991 and went to Portugal for a year and a half. Those were the jobs she had.
Before she became filthy rich.
Well, when she did the English teaching in Portugal, that's when the Harry Potter stuff started to enter her brain, which makes sense. She was teaching at not a private school, but she was teaching at a school that kids get sent to. So I can see where that comes from. she went to I think it was the University of Exeter. So she came from a good family, but she's not. She came from a Navy family who then bought a house when they were young, lived in it, made some pretty good money, bought a better house, and then she went off to do her own things. And she's got a younger sibling.
Yeah,
that's basically what she. So.
But she wasn't born successful. She worked hard. She put the time in. And freeing, if you have somebody like that and you give them a bunch of money, yeah, they could theoretically, with UBI, we might get a whole bunch of fantastic authors out of it who wouldn't have otherwise had the time to do it. Maybe. I don't know. That kind of social engineering is kind of hard to pull off and do correctly.
But she also had recently gotten divorced and was taking primary care of the kids and everything like that, which was part of the reason why she was having job issues.
Okay. You've heard me talk about time preference before as a concept in economics. Some people, some people will delay gratification for a larger gain in the future. Other people want it now.
Yeah.
That could be, YOLO, like I said in the comments. It's just they want it now. So clearly, the people who got the money on average were more interested in the now than the later. That's the thing. Now, my question is people being in that situation, the situation that the people were in that were chosen for the study, does that cause them to have this time preference? Or is it that time preference that causes them to be poor and need to get the UBI? It's a chicken and egg thing, because if you wanted to make an argument against all this, you could just say, well, people who are already screwed, giving them $1,000 a month when they already have the habits of just, here's what I have to consume. I'm going to consume it all. I'll get more next week, right? I just spend all of it until my paycheck's gone. Maybe you need to start them when they're small, maybe this mindset of money and investing in yourself has to start earlier, or the UBI doesn't make any difference. I'm just trying to think about how to steel man the argument in favor of this, because I think it's a terrible idea personally.
Well, it's also the fact that we already knew that they did this stuff when the checks went out during COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Like
stimmies.
Yeah, the stimulus package. Like, we have the information from when that went down that shows that most of them didn't save it and all that kind of stuff. So it's like this is just like reigniting that same stance of people who are bad with money. If they don't make the effort to actually get good with money, they're always going to be bad with money. It's the reason why whenever they're like, oh, well, what was it, like 48% of people in America don't have $1,000 for an emergency fund. It's like, do they not have $1,000 because they're not getting paid enough, or do they not have $1,000 because they're spending it on stupid shit?
Yeah, like
That's
spinner rims for their jacked up car that they bought on credit.
Well, not even that. They're doing DoorDash because they don't want to cook.
No, I'm thinking California. It's like the same people who I see saying, well, the government should pay for all my health care and it should pay for this and it should pay for that. They're driving around in cars they can't afford with custom wheels added to them. And it's just, I see all this weird consumption that makes no sense. In the shitty place that I rent in Silicon Valley, so I don't have to drive back and forth all the time, there are people parked there now in the shitty place. There are people with like high-end Porsches and BMWs and stuff parked there. And it's like, why are you spending so much money on a car and then paying rent in a place like this? Makes no sense to me.
Well, I mean, and that's the thing, though, is that it's the which is really tiny writing in my thing, is like, okay, you're stating what the outcome is, not you, Harry, but the studies.
Yeah.
You're stating what the outcome is, but you're not giving me the nitty gritty. Is it they are incapable of it? Have you looked at their paychecks to see if they're incapable of saving that money? Or is it they're unwilling to save that money because they don't see the point in saving that money? Because they live by this bullshit information that people like Grant Cardone and Rich Dad Poor Dad and all those stupid money-grubbing pieces of shit teach them, which is savings don't make you rich. It's like, no, but savings are a good thing to have because it gives you a cushion. But it's like you have so many people who listen to Dave Ramsey has his issues, and so does Susie Orman. But they're not wrong with the fact that you need savings. Like I said, I've made the joke more than once. You can do it in a bank, you can do it in a credit union, or you can do it in mason jars in your backyard. Whatever works for you.
Yeah.
But it's like it's not the not have, it's the incapable of having. Who are the people who legitimately are incapable of having it? Because I can guarantee you, most of these people are living with roommates and have the capability that if they stayed home and just made their food or didn't overpay for cars or any of that kind of shit, they would have the money. They just don't want to.
Yeah. So I
And
feel
that's where
like
the problem comes
I feel like we've gone 58 minutes without saying anything that Functional cares about. So I feel like I have to do something for Functional. Maybe this doesn't qualify. This is not the thing you were looking for, but we'll do this anyway. I feel bad for Armin Shimmerman here.
Welcome to the promenade. Humble quark at your service. Behold, Star Trek Deep Space Nine action figures. Commander Benjamin Sisko. He helps me run the station. And Security Chief Odo.
Now the thing is, Odo actually kind of looks like Odo.
Yeah, he does.
I mean, is that the most spot on one of those figurines has ever been?
Probably.
So very strict and sneaky for someone so honest. Here's Lieutenant Dax and Chief
Oh,
O'Brien.
poor Chief O'Brien. Jesus Christ.
He does, considering how good the models were back then.
like him.
He
Does
does
not look
him,
like
though.
Cole
Yes,
Meany.
it does. Yes,
Yes,
it does.
it does.
No, it doesn't.
Nitpicker. Nitpicker.
little
Yeah,
bit.
it does.
No, it
Enough
doesn't.
to know you know who he is.
Yeah.
If he, yeah, okay, never mind.
And Major Kira Nerys. I happen to know she's crazy about me. Wonderful, aren't they? Especially this one. So handsome. Pains me to part with it, but if you pay me now,
That was actually
security.
pretty good, too.
What a pleasant surprise.
I feel sorry for Armin Shimmerman. This is like having to shill Playmates figurines. Hey, it's a living. It was 1994. He was getting a paycheck. It's fine.
It's like, who cares? It's like, it's fun. Like,
But I don't think you really see these kinds of things much with the new Trek. Where you're going to have the Burnham Brig playset. You know what are you going to get for STD?
Hopefully some amoxicillin.
An itch.
An itch. It's a rash. It'll grow on you. Anyway, let's see what else have we got here in this pile of stuff.
Take my wife, please.
How about U.S. military getting wild in Poland?
Army major was reportedly drugged and bitten by strippers in Poland. Will that affect the U.S. military's footprint in that country? Story. It is a major story, and it happened in Gdansk.
And Jeff, I don't know anything about that story. I'll have a look at it. I'm not going to take that question, but
please take that.
Jeff, no. Jeff, just let me state clearly we have a strong military relationship with Poland.
Okay, here's
Jennifer Coolidge for Maybelline.
Stop selling Maybelline. Okay, here's the fattest bear ever. See the Colorado cake monster that is ready for winter. Look at how plush this thing is. He is an absolute unit. He is big chunkus.
I love him.
Look at the size of that thing. Do you still choose bear, Sora?
Yes.
Okay. Jesus Christ, that thing is huge.
Always bear. Bear first. Look at that. And I will hug it and die a painful death, but it'll be worth it.
It'll be worth it.
I heard, speaking of grizzly bears, I heard a both very funny and very sad thing recently about, remember the Grizzly Man documentary?
Yes.
So apparently there's a line in it where they're talking to one of the game wardens. I think it's one of either the wildlife rangers or one of the game wardens. And apparently the reason why they think the bears left him alone for so long was because they thought he was because they, as they put it, the bears thought he was the R word.
They thought he was special. Touched.
Yeah. Touched in the head.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why the bears didn't touch him. Because they're like, oh, he's stupid.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and it's like, it's supposed to be a sad documentary. And I saw it and that line happened. I'm like,
just killed it.
Wow.
He takes you out of that.
Well, here's the thing that Sora sent to Just for Fun.
Oh, yeah.
The doggy door that somebody put in his fence so the bear would stop tearing down his fence.
Yeah.
What a big
When we
old
first
bear
moved in,
size
there was
thing.
an old fence, and the bear is constantly knocking a hole through. So when we put the new fence up about a month ago, within a couple of days, he had showed up like 5 in the afternoon and just knocked that panel right out. So I just framed in the 3 foot by 3 foot, and then I realized, well, then any critter can go through. So I thought I'd put a swinging door on there. We kind of thought as a joke that we'll just see if this even really works. Me and my kids were goofing around. And sure enough, 2 weeks later, he comes walking down the driveway and walks right through it like he'd done it 1,000 times. Everyone was pretty happy with the door and the fact that the bear's root could stay intact without him knocking my fence down 2 or 3 times a week. So it seems to be working.
It'd be nice if you made it so you had to have bear-sized strength to go through the door. I mean, just a small nit.
Well, I mean, that door, I can tell by the way it's swinging, it's not light.
Well, I mean, at what point is it kind of like not having a fence? Like if we had the fence at the southern border and then we just put in one of these doors, I feel like the Trump wall would be less effective.
Well, the thing is like most dogs are not going to be able to open that because it's too flat packed and too heavy. Cats aren't going to be able to open it. You don't have to worry about deer going through it because they don't ever think to crouch because they're morons.
In that area,
the moose will step over it. Just ding,
no,
ding, ding, ding,
you don't have moose in that area. Where he is, it's bears, raccoons, possibly skunks, the occasional, not even wildcat maybe.
Yeah,
but mostly
they'll go over the fence.
It's mostly bears that you kind of are concerned about.
Yeah,
Where
as far as larger animals, bears are the only ones that don't give no fucks.
And
the rest generally avoids it.
Yeah, and judging from the looks of it, it looks like that hinge, he can lock the hinge. So it may be one of those things that, like, every morning with his cup of coffee and a robe, he walks outside, locks the hinge, comes back inside, lets the dogs out. It might be one of those kind of things.
Speaking of moose, killer whales... shut up. Killer whales hunt moose for prey in this region. A biologist highlights one of nature's most unique interactions.
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
moose can swim.
Yep.
Moose
can swim underwater.
I just don't usually think of orcas hunting moose.
No, but if you look at look killer whales up on like the internet, like one of their top food sources, it says, and it's said it for years, is moose.
Really?
Yeah. If you look it up, yeah.
Kind of didn't expect these two things to collide, but I guess it's not that uncommon then.
Yeah. No, it's fairly common. Because I remember the internet, like social media, freaked the mother f out about it a while ago.
Okay. I apparently didn't get the moose memo.
Yep.
So this is a thing. Okay.
Yeah, it's so according to the summary of 16 animals they hunt, killer whales prey on seals, sea otters, arbors, porpoise, salmon, and number 16 is moose.
Okay. Well, color me surprised.
Yep.
That's not even the biggest surprise.
They also hunt humpback whales too, which is terrifying.
Yeah, it is sort of terrifying. But let's go with like a really big surprise. So this is under. I was telling you the categories earlier, right? And so one was what I call wait what.
Yeah.
Wait
what?
Functional. Wake up. You're gonna like this. Surprising discovery: NASA's retrofitted U-2 spy plane reveals tropical lightning storms are radioactive.
Yep.
Saw
that article.
Well, it's kind of amazing because if you look at how you make like an X-ray, okay, so these things are getting off gamma rays. The amount of energy it takes to make gamma rays is usually associated with things like neutron pulsars, black holes. The sun goes about its day not necessarily making gamma rays all the time. Okay, I mean, it gives off X-rays, but gamma rays are at energies even above that. So if you look at, well, how does an X-ray tube work? If you take a bunch of electrons and you fire them, you basically cook them off of a wire. Like that's an electrode. So you have electrons, you accelerate them with a magnetic field into a metal target. If you can get enough energy into the electrons, they will give off an X-ray when they collide with the target, typically tungsten. That's basically how an X-ray tube works. So in these cloud formations, they're finding, surprisingly, that there's not just gamma rays, but multiple different ways that gamma rays are being emitted by the clouds. So, for instance, you would think, oh, it's the lightning, right? The lightning creates an electric charge. These electrons are moving around. They run into like a water droplet or something. They drop a bunch of energy in the form of a gamma ray. I mean,
It's
still
the clouds
surprising.
themselves that are doing it, not the lightning, isn't it?
Right. Well, it's yes, because actually they're noticing the gamma rays before the lightning arcs. It's actually something in the process of building up the electric field, the static electric charge that generates the energy that causes the gamma rays to be emitted, not the lightning discharging itself. So it's giving us insight into a process that we don't actually fully understand. That's what's so cool about it. So they took an ER-2, which is essentially an old retired U-2 spy plane, and they, because it's fast and flies high, they could just say, here, let's just pick some thunderstorms and go look at them. In like 10 times out of 11, they found some kind of gamma ray discharge in these large thunderstorms. It's not enough to like, you know, fry your genitals or anything crazy like that. Not that you'd want to be in a cloud when this is happening, but it's not not dangerous to us, but it's fascinating because nobody, I mean, outside of radioactive decay, you really don't expect there to be naturally occurring gamma rays on Earth, full stop. So this is really, really surprising to me and really, really cool that I've reached, you know, today years old only to find out that thunderclouds are actually emitting gamma rays.
Now to harness it.
Yeah, I'm just really blown away by this. Well, I think Ben Franklin tried to do it with that kite, right?
Well, lightning, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just kidding. Yeah. But yeah. Now, the U-2 spy plane thing, the ER-2, is actually cool. When I first went as a kid on the school trip where I didn't get to see Carl Sagan, one of the only cool things I remember was actually going into a hangar where they were disassembling a U-2. So I've actually seen the inside, the guts of the engine and the control surfaces and stuff on one of these planes before. It is absolutely cool. It is like this ginormous engine. And you see this plane that's just essentially all engine and wings. It's a really cool, I mean, it's no SR-71A Blackbird, but it is a pretty cool airplane. In fact, in Silicon Valley, to this day, if you're anywhere near Moffett Field/Ames Research Center, you can hear the ER-2s take off. They take off, and it's just like this amazing noise that you can hear for quite some distance as they take off at a 45-degree angle off into the stratosphere. They're pretty cool airplanes, even though they are actually old.
I like watching the Globemaster 3s take off because it's like, how the fuck are you flying?
Yeah.
Because those things are massive.
Well, they're like that bear, but with wings. Oh, here we are. Scientists uncover exciting new brain benefits of eating strawberries. I didn't plan this way. Let's see. By California Strawberry Commission. See, I told you, big strawberry.
Oh, yeah, big strawberry will come for you.
Research indicates that consuming strawberries daily can promote cardiometabolic health and help manage cholesterol levels. Well, those all sound like good things, don't they?
Yeah.
I should go eat more strawberries. Anyway, I think this other article is actually pretty darn cool. The one with the gamma rays, because that just shouldn't really be happening. I'm just happy to be surprised when I'm this year old today. What am I trying to say, Sora?
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Buy strawberries.
Okay.
I mean,
I was today years old when.
It's interesting to find out, but for me, it's not like shocking. Like, oh my God, this is completely out of the realm of possibility. It's like, okay, that kind of tracks. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot we don't know about them, and this type of radiation is kind of found in similar phenomena.
No.
Sun?
No. Well, no. There's nothing similar.
Energy exchange, the Hadron Collider.
There's nothing similar about the sun and a thundercloud. They are such completely different mechanisms. And a thundercloud is not a black hole.
But the expulsion of energy.
Yeah.
In various different ways, and like even the sun, we obviously we haven't been able to test it, but we exhausted all possible theory to come to the best conclusion. But like these high exchange rates of energy creates radiation, or causes radiation. Shouldn't say creates, causes radiation, and different phenomena, different energy patterns, different ways in which the energy is expelled or collides with one another is creates different types of phenomena like radiation.
Yeah, to me, this is like seeing an
That makes sense. Like, I mean, obviously, it's not like I'm saying, "Hey, no, I was expecting this." I'm just like, "Oh, that's really, really cool."
It's
just
really
not
unexpected.
out of the realm of like complete, oh my god, I can't believe that's.
I would have bet money that this wasn't the case, based on my understanding of how these things work. It's like seeing an African, like a carrier pigeon, break the sound barrier. It's like I understand they can fly, but I wouldn't expect it to break the sound barrier. And that's sort of what these things are doing. They're putting off energies of a type and an intensity that, to my mind, was inconceivable before today. That's the thing. And as a guy who knows about X-ray tubes and things like that, I know how X-rays are made, and I know how gamma rays are made. I didn't think a natural phenomenon outside of radiation on Earth was capable of making gamma rays. And I'm happy to be surprised. I like being surprised. I'm actually totally comfortable with being surprised. But I think
well, with that, I agree with you. Like the finding of naturally occurring gamma rays on Earth. Yes, that's like it just. Like I'm not saying it's not exciting and it's not cool to find out. I'm just saying, of all things I can think of, like it's not a shocking revelation to me. Sort of like akin to, wow, I didn't think that this could ever. Like, I honestly could see that could happen here. Like, I don't know.
I didn't know that killer whales ate moose either. So what do I know? I'm just a very naive person, apparently. I just that's. Harry is surprised by things.
Do you know
That's
that they
tonight's
found
theme.
that moose can eat deer?
Really?
If they're hungry enough.
Oh, that's excellent. All right, let's see. We've done fattest bear. We've done radioactive clouds. Let's see. We've done moose news. Let's see. What type of thing would you like to see next? Would you like to see youth culture? You want to see youth culture. You're going to make fun of this. Do we have both Sora and Serenity? Okay.
Gen Z Germans use the same words used in English all the time. And this year, Aura is the youth word of the year here. It's basically points you get for doing something cool or embarrassing, like doing something cringe, like pulling on a push door, minus 1,000 Aura. Send something fun.
Okay, how much have you guys heard this term before? Or are you all too old?
It's stupid. I see it on Instagram all the time, and I'm just like,
Aura.
yeah, guys, we used to call it cool points. Like,
Aura is better though than cool points. I haven't heard about this Aura thing, but yeah.
Yeah,
it's cute.
I hate humanity and everything it stands for.
It does sound very D&D, doesn't it? It's just like.
D&D doesn't even pull that shit.
Well, it could be like a coolness rating, a likability rating.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I find her to be kind of insufferable.
Funny in the group chat when everyone reacts, positive aura points. But someone can also have, just in general, a bad or a good aura. The other finalists for youth word were Schere and Talahun. Do you know what a Talahun is?
Yeah, but I usually don't use this word. I'm from Bavaria.
Keeping it real, Bavaria.
Say that, so.
Bavaria in the house.
Is usually a young guy with a migrant background who wears fake Gucci caps and gold chain. That one has come under some fire for being racist, though.
We got those here.
Is your top slang word in your country right now? Let me know in the comments.
God, she's way too satisfied with herself.
She's probably from Berlin.
Oh yeah, most likely from Berlin.
Probably.
They all think they're God's gift to the
just
fucking planet.
Too cool for this. Come on.
It's like sort of a weird German, almost vocal fry.
Yeah. Well, it's also the really funny part because you can tell by her closing that she probably has another mic on her.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, why are you holding the mic that close if you don't have to hold it that close for your voice to come through?
Also, what the hell is that scarf?
-1 million aura points.
What is that? What is that scarf? Is it like a tartan but not? I don't know.
It's just a long Burberry scarf.
Oh, okay.
It is.
I was gonna accuse her of Scottish appropriation.
No, it's probably knockoff though.
Yeah.
Girls like her won't ever buy the real ones.
Yeah.
No. It's not knockoff. I got this at a vintage flea market. Like
Yeah. And you're just sitting there going, "Sure you did, sugar tits. Sure you did."
She really means Muslim invader. Thank you for that.
Basically.
Saracen is the word I usually go to because it
like
lets
Saracen.
me find out who knows about history.
Yeah.
Good times. All right, she's not cute enough to be that annoying. All right.
Wow, judgy Harry tonight.
Hey, I'm allowed to have opinions.
Those gamma rays must really be affecting you.
Hey, I would
not
love
even
more
the cute
thunderstorms.
Aspect. It's not even the cute aspect. It's just she's doing that thing that insufferable people do. Where
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
I'm too good for this.
She's doing that
yeah.
thing
They're
that
just so
insufferable people do.
self-satisfied.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like she could be the most beautiful woman in the world, and she acted that way. I would still want to slap her.
Yeah. This isn't the beginning of a limerick, but
She
I
is
once
German, so
I
maybe
once
she'll let you.
met a girl
She
from
probably
Freiburg, and she was very nice. But I don't know. You think Berlin, people from Berlin, young women are more insufferable from the
No,
city?
all of the young ones from Berlin are insufferable.
Oh.
It's not just the women.
Oh,
The guys
okay.
are just as bad.
I don't know if I've ever met anybody from Berlin.
I have.
Okay.
We have a trade program with one of the universities in my state, and Berlin's one of the trade cities that we trade with for college kids to come here for a year or two, and I've dealt with a lot of them, and I wanted to slap every one of them.
Okay. So I have something I need to complain about. So as I'm searching for stuff for the show, one of the things that shows up in my feed a lot is Business Insider. Now you would think that Business Insider would be a publication about, business. But they have a lot more of these ridiculous articles, which are, I'm not sure how to describe it. I'm not asking you to comment on any of these. I just want to show you 4 articles just so you can see the titles, right? We don't need to discuss the crap that's in them. Okay, article number 1, please load. I noticed I had to dig up archive links for all these. I learned from last time. My husband is the primary breadwinner, and I stay home with the kids, but our marriage is not traditional, in quotes. Speaking of smug and self-satisfied, that picture, she has a very smackable face. Okay,
Yeah.
article number 2. Please load. Okay, I tried to stay close to my ex's family after my divorce, but when his sister died, I realized things had changed. Okay. Okay. Number 3. Oh, hate you. Oh, wait. But what's this? Harry has an archive link. Suck it. Okay, my partner is monogamous, but I'm not. Here's how we make our relationship work. Okay.
Oh, gross. What the hell, Business Insider?
Yeah.
Well, no, I understand why. Because if you have people who are on the middle management HR side of business,
Yeah.
reading this way, they know what they're going to have to deal with their employees. It's like, okay, we're dealing with the one family where they're semi-traditional, but they don't want to admit it. We're dealing with one who's in their late 30s who doesn't want to date again because they can't afford it, because they have convinced themselves it costs a certain amount. We have another one where she's poly, but her partner isn't. So that means we're gonna have to deal with a lot of just
Chafing.
bullshit. Well, it's more of drama, because it's like,
Oh, really,
my
drama,
one
not chafing,
partner-
drama.
Yeah, it's one of my partners broke up with me. They're sleeping with someone else. It's like, yeah, but you're polyamorous. But they didn't tell me. It's like,
Yeah, but luckily her
okay.
husband is her best friend, and when she gets upset by one of her lovers, she can go talk to him about it.
And he'll end up fucking a girl at his work, and then they'll break up because God forbid. But anyway,
Yeah.
it's like, I understand, like, I kind of get why, because this is the part of Business Insider that the middle management and HR read.
Mm-hmm.
So this way they know what's going on in their employees' lives a little bit, or at least have an idea, so this way they can be prepared for the bullshit.
But do they? You know, because these stories, these are always of the form, as told to reporter such and such. You know, so it's always like, here's this anecdotal thing that one of our people totally seriously heard, which is absolutely not made up in any way. And it is, how different is it really from those AI generated 30-minute stories that show up on YouTube? I get so many of those damn things in my feed. You know, my stepmother wanted to use my inheritance to send her golden child to university. Do you guys get those in your feed? Because I get them all the time.
Oh, that's like those are
They're bread and butter,
Reddit
because
stories.
they're bread and butter for some of those channels, because they don't because they make the most.
They
money.
just pull shit out of Reddit, and that stuff is probably AI generated.
Well,
and they
stuff
think
out
they're
of
going to get
Reddit's
aura if they post a bunch of shit on Reddit that gets a lot of thumbs attached to it or something, right?
It's one of those things where it's kind of like it's a mixture of it's the middle management and HR who are reading, but it's also it's just a new version of clickbait articles.
Well, exactly. I kind of think in a lot of ways Business Insider is no longer fit for purpose. And I have one more Business Insider link to something which I think is a decent article. But I feel like it as a publication is not fit for purpose if this is the stuff that they're printing. This anecdotal, weird social engineering bullshit that they seem to be pushing. I'm not even convinced that most of these things are happening, or certainly that they actually in reality are anything like the description. It's just like, no, you're not really a business publication anymore if all you're printing is this kind of weird drama stuff.
Well, it's like the History Channel, not really big history stuff anymore.
Yeah.
Occasionally they still have history stuff because I watch it when it happens.
Yeah.
Those ones.
There you go. Well, I'm sure Business Insider probably still has the occasional business article.
Yeah. Well, somebody mentioned the monogamous couple and how they were going to he was going to find somebody at work, and eventually something bad was going to happen in that relationship, right?
Yeah.
Well, here's an article that's in Fortune. In 7 in 10 office workers say they have a work wife or work husband. Here's why experts warn they probably shouldn't. Now, I hadn't heard these terms before about a month or two ago.
Oh, those are old. Those
I
are
know,
old terms.
but I didn't know that moose were eaten by killer whales. Harry doesn't know many things. I'd only first heard this. I think it only became sort of a mainstream thing that people talked about a couple months ago, kind of thing. It certainly wasn't something that was in common parlance 10 years ago that I heard about. I mean, I'm not saying it didn't exist.
Maybe not for you, but I heard it a lot.
Okay. Things must be more fun in
Yeah,
Louisville.
it was very popular in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And the thing is,
I've never seen any impropriety come of it, but I mean, what do I know?
I don't think psychologically this is particularly healthy. You know, you really want your partner to be your partner and not have like a partner without benefits that fills that emotional need at work. You could definitely step over the line in a way that's not good here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And
then they write about it on Reddit. It's a problem. So this is Fortune. So maybe Fortune's going to be doing all articles like this, and then I'm going to write them off as well. Maybe. So finishing the work culture thing. Oh, do I not have a link for this one? No, I do have a link because I've gotten smarter. Okay.
Yay.
So, yeah, yay me. Growth. Meta fires employees who abused its $25 Grubhub meal perk.
As they should have.
I'm actually very proud of Mark Zuckerberg here because honestly, most businesses would have just canceled the program and then sent out a little finger wagging note. And what this is for people who work late at the office to make it so that's like, yeah, and specifically for offices where they don't have cafeterias and stuff set up for them, like the satellite offices. They just say, hey, if you're working late for the company, giving it your all, we'll buy dinner for you. We'll give you a $25 credit to have Grubhub deliver something to the office.
Yeah.
And what was happening is people who weren't necessarily working late or didn't need food would do things like order wine glasses and other stuff to be delivered.
Yeah.
And Zuckerberg, to his credit, instead of doing the easy thing, he did the right thing, which is, no, I'm not going to ruin this thing that's a big benefit to try to take care of the people that are working, going above and beyond. I'm just going to fire the assholes who did the bad thing. Thank God. Because 99 times out of 100, they would have just canceled the program.
Oh, yeah. And it would have screwed over the people who were actually obeying the rules.
Yeah. So the people who were doing their job and going above and beyond don't get screwed. And the people that were abusing the system get fired. Bon voyage, learn to code. Yeah. Or whatever the modern equivalent of learning to code is now that AI is taking over all that stuff. We're going to need a new slogan for telling people to go get retrained. Because telling people to learn to code is not going to work anymore.
Learn to plumb.
Yeah, learn to plumb. Pipe sweating. It's a good thing. All right.
Most people already have a butt crack.
Yeah. All you got to do
I know
is...
you don't have a butt crack because you have a tail.
Yeah. Cats without tails are pretty cool. Those little Manx cats are kind of nice.
The show is yours.
Yeah.
You gonna talk?
Meow.
No, she's
Meow.
meowing at the microphone.
Meow.
Anyway, nobody likes you. Go away.
Neko-chan, I love you. Okay. Let's see. Let's see. Skep would be sad if we covered this without him here. Oh, okay. So Education Week has a new article out. Let's see. What happened when a district put struggling students in regular algebra? Well, this is a thing that's been around. It's a tale as old as time, and it's called mainstreaming. It's where you take kids that aren't doing well in a math class and you shove them in a math class that they're not prepared for, and then go, okay, we threw you in the deep end. You better learn how to swim. And yeah, sometimes this produces good results. But what are some of the negatives of doing this? First of all, the people who are thrown in the deep end causes them an awful lot of anxiety. But they say, well, we give you special training so the teachers can work with the students in a way that prevents all that. The burden you're putting on the teachers by putting a bunch of students who aren't prepared to take the class you're trying to teach is immense. All you're doing is just going to burn out all your teachers, and a lot of the students are just going to fail and hate math. This is a terrible, terrible idea. And you can call it whatever you want. Mainstreaming has never been a good idea, especially for math. Sorry, maybe nobody else has a comment on this, but I was just like, Education Week, this is like a bad idea that's been dug up from the past and needs to be buried again.
Well, it does suck. And then if you have, because there's another thing that can happen is if you have a teacher in that class that now has the struggling students and say is slightly more compassionate and wants to focus on trying to help those particular students during class time get even a little bit to the minimum standard, then what happens to everybody else? They're left to do stuff on their own. It's a struggle because, like, I mean, I don't know. There should always be the supplementary classes. I think those are more helpful.
Yeah,
Just not everybody will be good at math and continue on using math in their life, like in an academic setting, right? So just help them find the niche that they're better at. So that can help them get through school, and then just try not to fail them, right? As someone who absolutely was so bad at math throughout high school, like tears. Okay, I wish there was something. I would have gone to the dumb person's math class 100% if my parents wouldn't have literally killed me.
Yeah,
I remember suggesting it once in 10th grade, and never again. So if I was able to go to the slightly struggling kids math class, I would have been much happier.
You want to put people in the class that meets their current level. If you want to help people, what you want to do, it's like taking somebody who doesn't speak English, and instead of trying to teach them English, we just say, well, you're just going to learn through immersion. We're going to throw you in a class where you don't understand 99% of what's being said. Eventually, you'll figure it out. That's sort of like learning Spanish by watching telenovelas or learning Japanese by watching anime.
The principle behind electives, like generals and electives, like that's supposed to be, like, to my understanding, the way that things were working that when they worked, so that like people who didn't have an aptitude for, say, algebra, they had the general math classes, and they figured out, hey, I'm not good in math. This is me we're talking about. So moving on to something else like science, art, computers, like whatever, and then those would have generals, and I don't know.
I get it. But you could make somebody go to summer school ahead of time, right? You could say if you're going to take regular algebra in September, in the fall, the beginning of the new year, we expect you to take like a 12-week course during the summer where we're going to try to bring you up to speed so you're ready to start that course. As opposed to, hey, you're really struggling. Why don't we just put you in a class that you're not qualified for? Have fun. And then you just end up hating math. Because Sora was, I think, painting a pretty good picture of, I'm not enjoying this. This isn't helping anybody. Yeah. Whether or not you use it in the future, in a lot of ways, doesn't matter all that much. Sometimes just the act of doing something hard makes your brain more better, whether it's learning to play chess or being really good at something. I don't think math is that important for every single person, but I do think it's a good thing to help your brain thrive. But it's not the only thing. Music is another
not
thing.
At all. Nothing's the only thing.
Music does, a lot of times, like formal music training will do exactly the same thing, if not more, for the person.
Yeah, but then you'd have to have an aptitude for music, right?
Yeah, well, you need to have an aptitude for something. Otherwise, you just become a generalist.
Yeah. Otherwise, you're just kind of fucked.
Well, I've known some generalists that were pretty happy. They're kind of sad about the fact they're not great at anything, but being a jack of all trades is not a bad thing at all.
No.
Yeah.
And I was actually glad that, like, I took all these classes to realize how bad I was at all these things.
You're not mediocre. It's like you literally don't have an Achilles heel. Just get on with your life and be happy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I like a good generalist. Somebody who actually knows how to do a lot of stuff but isn't an expert in anything. Because, a person like that is reliable. If you're like running a startup or something, yeah, definitely give me a handful of those generalists. Because if you try to... you want a few Clydesdales in there with your skittish quarter horses.
Right.
I know I probably screwed that metaphor up.
The hyper specialization, the people who are really good at that hyper specialized stuff. We still need those definitely in society, because those are the people who innovate and change society, and everybody else is like more or less generally aptitude at various things at certain levels. Obviously, there's higher echelons and lower echelons, and why we have different designations like blue collar, white collar, whatever, working poor. Like, I mean, it just sort of separates that delineation. But even within those, most of those, you also have the bell curve of the people who in the middle of that sort of field are, just generally really good at stuff. There's some people who are being carried along. Hi, Geodes. Not Geodes. Geodes is wonderful. He just, yeah. And then you have people who are like insanely good at their jobs and or in those fields, and they thrive, but they'll never be, I shouldn't say never, but they really aren't more than like the really, really, really good bricklayer. You don't want him running the company because he's so fucking good at laying those bricks. Sure, he can teach and he can take more under, but anyway, I'm rambling. I'm still mad about those fucking vegans.
I'd rather be laying pipe. Just kidding.
It's everywhere.
Vegans. Yeah, vegans. I know. So speaking of vegans, there's a restaurant that I really want to go to, Functional, and it's in a town I haven't been to since I was a small child, because they have one of those working steam locomotive things where you ride around through the redwoods.
Oh, cute.
And it's historic California road trip now a temple to Michelin cred burgers. Smash burger with bordelaise, smoked trout roulette with sourdough focaccia, and spicy chicken sandwich at Emerald, Mallard, and Felton, California. So not only is it pretty elevated comfort food, but it's even reasonably priced. They do have some expensive things on the menu, like this dry-aged Wagyu bullshit thing for $60 steak. But a lot of their food is like $10 or $20. And they're serving that kind of food to people. And spicy chicken sandwich, look at that thing. I want that now. I want to eat that immediately.
I say that's not bad, but I mean, that's not bad for today's prices.
No.
It's
Emerald
still
Mallard's
fucking...
cuisine exhibits French influences even in its OG smash burger. The bestseller comprised 2 patties, American cheese, house-made burger sauce, additional fixings, spilling on a pillowy Martin's potato roll, served with fries for $18. They also have like duck confit with fries that have been cooked in duck fat, and just on and on. They have all the crazy shit. I think I want to move to Felton and just eat here every night. This would be just fine. And it's a tavern. I like everything about this. So, but yeah, this is my answer to vegans, because in a world where they run things, I would never be able to eat this. And I desperately want to eat that. And I'm not even hungry. All right. Anyway.
More for us.
I should take imaginary girlfriend there. Let's see. Here, everybody should like this.
Sir, I'm just as shocked as you are.
They were actually throwing. They were throwing firecrackers into an attic to try to get a raccoon to leave.
Oh.
Using explosives for rodents. This should end well.
Sir, I'm
until you burn your house down. But I have to say that when I was trying to get Nigel out of my attic, I did have thoughts of doing something like this. I was going to put a metal plate down.
Seriously.
And I wanted to rig up like a one-way thing. I actually bought the stuff to do it, a little one-way thing where I could drive Nigel out and he wouldn't be able to get back into the attic. I was going full Wile E. Coyote with that rat for a while there. I'm glad he finally died. Bastard. But yeah, you want to get something out of your attic? Just throw some firecrackers in there.
Sir, I'm just...
I love that, but I don't love it as much as I love this. Took my grandma on a zip line.
Front, hand in front.
Oh shit! Is she okay?
Yeah.
Hand in front.
I don't know why I like watching people get hurt so much.
Oh,
Good job, Grandma.
What was this guy doing in the way, though?
He was trying to catch her, but she, instead of turning around and so he could sort of grab her from the front, she came barreling into him with her back. All the grabby bits were facing the wrong way. Oh, look at all the things that it's suggesting. See, because I'm not logged in, and it's all stupid stuff. Batman 1950 Super Panavision 70.
Oh, that's the AI stuff.
All these AI things are just ridiculous, aren't they?
Luckily, they don't.
They get views.
340,000 views. Wow. Last I checked, the Trump thing had almost 12 million views on it. Just the YouTube rebroadcast, not even including Spotify.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when I watched it on YouTube, it was only at like 3.5.
Yeah. This afternoon, it was almost at 12. Yeah.
I can't wait. I cannot wait to see the meltdowns over that.
I can't wait to see the level of censorship that's going to hit the internet once Kamala wins. That's sarcasm. If she ends up winning, you know there's going to be a lot of retribution. If you can't throw them in jail, just shut them down. I'm not a happy person right now about this stuff. I really don't want that woman to win. All right. Anyway, using explosives for rodents. I thought this was a Dave Chappelle skit. Okay, this is fine. We won't get in trouble for this.
Chain Popeyes became a victim of its own advertising today. So many customers lined up for a big special. Some locations, including one in Penfield and the city, ran out of chicken.
And you mean to tell me that we can't feed our kids?
No chicken? They just out of chicken.
I said I'm calling customer service now to see where there's another Popeyes at.
Yeah, they seem to be out of chicken today, so I'll just pick up a pizza. It's no big deal.
Just a small difference in attitude. The chicken eaters of color were having none of it. They're like, this is bullshit. I'm calling corporate headquarters. Where's my goddamn chicken? I got to feed my kids. Totally legitimate response, by the way. But sweater minivan guy here was just taking it all in stride.
Yeah, they seem to be out of chicken today, so I'll just pick up a pizza. It's no big deal.
Also another legitimate and completely valid response. A tad cliche, though. Hey, at least I'm amused. All right.
Oh, I'm amused. I no comment.
You're afraid to laugh because the Canadian police will come after you. Oh, functional. So here's the thing. This is actually a pretty decent little cooking channel.
Today I found a menu online where you can find all of McDonald's original recipes from the 50s, 60s, and 70s.
You hate the fact that he found a menu online with the original things, or you just hate his delivery? Okay, that's totally legit. Well, luckily for you, I tracked down said menu on the Internet Archive. So these are
menu.pdf.
These are a bunch of recipes for the original McDonald's food from like back in the day. And so one of the things that he's actually looking at, or what he makes in the video, is there's sort of Oriental sweet and sour sauce. And spoiler, at the end of it, he says the homemade one is way, way better than the shit that they serve now in the tiny little plastic container. I'm not surprised because it's like apricot jam and a bunch of stuff and a little bit of vinegar, and it's like actual real food. I went through this thing here to look at some of the recipes. Like here's your Royale with cheese. And it's pretty interesting reading because these literally are all instructions for how to make classic McDonald's stuff the way they used to do it. You want to make your own DLT? Here it is.
Anybody happen to have some 1950s Heinz tomato ketchup?
Mm-hmm.
Ew.
What?
Oh, yeah, I wanted authenticity. No, I've already downloaded it.
Yeah.
Don't say. Don't.
Yeah, you can get the big extra.
The big extra?
Yeah.
Yes.
And the instructions are actually pretty darn complete. Form the ground chuck into a large thin patty on wax paper. Make it approximately 5.5 to 6 inches in diameter. Freeze this patty for a couple of hours before cooking. You may consider making some in advance. You know, toast the face of the hamburger. You know, what kind of dressing.
In advance of burger time.
Yeah. Well, if you want it to be the same as the McDonald's thing, these are the steps you got to take.
Oh.
Yeah, I think the quarter pounder is the only McDonald's burger that isn't cooked from frozen. Don't quote me on that, but I believe that in current times, all of the other burgers are actually frozen to preserve flavor, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
I love the big extra back in the day.
Yeah. So I knew you'd sort of feel the same way I do about that guy's cadence in his delivery.
McRib.
Yeah. Which is why I found the PDF or a version of the PDF, and I've linked it for you, the people.
Meanie, no.
JTM brand grillin' ribs, pork patty.
No.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, it's all worth it now, right? Okay.
Oh, take my money.
All right, so let's see, Grandma on a zip line. Let's see. Here's another wholesome video of another good dad.
Count to 3 while we give it full throttle.
Teaching my
slowly
daughter
go
how to
full
fly.
Throttle, very slowly.
Right now?
Yep. 1, 2, 3. All the way up. Good. All the way up. Keep it there.
She's just
See
a
how the
little
tail
thing.
comes up, and now the airplane's ready to fly. So slowly pull back on the stick. Very slowly. Go ahead. Pull back. A little more, a little more, a little more, a little more. There you go. Great job, dude. All right.
I like your pins in the dress.
Now push forward a little bit. Push forward on the stick. There you go.
You know, she's going to grow up to be competent, capable, confident, low in neuroses. She's going to be okay because she has a dad that doesn't just wrap her in bubble wrap and want her to never grow up. He's a good dad. You know, I think this is great because I mean,
That's very sweet.
She's not a helicopter child because I mean, there's obviously some risk there. But she's going to grow up to be a fully actualized human being someday, which is awesome. And yeah, you can even fly a plane in a dress. It's pretty cool. He's a good dad. All right.
Oh, I like this. This is nice. This
Yeah.
is good. This is the wholesome content we want.
This is the wholesome content we want. Well, I can dispel that feeling with the final thing we're going to talk about.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Okay, UBI failed.
Lest we be happy.
Yeah. Let's see. We've talked about Moose. There's a few things I want to save for when Skep comes back. Okay, functional. You're a big fan of braking, right?
Don't bother me, son. I'm learning how to make chicken McNuggets over here.
But you're a big fan of braking, right? Like breakdancing?
Oh, yeah. I thought you meant like breaking in cars. Yes.
Well, it turns out there is a new medical order that is unique to breakdancers.
Okay.
Yeah. And
is it because they spin on their heads?
Yeah, it's called a head spin hole. Approximately 30% of breakdancers report hair loss and inflammation of their scalp from head spinning. A head spin hole is caused by the body trying to protect itself. The repeated trauma from head spinning causes the epicranial shemp, a layer of connective tissue similar to a tendon running from the back of your head to the front, to thicken along with the layer of fat under the skin on top of the head in an attempt to protect the bones of skull from injury. Yeah. It's like a
Wow.
callus on top of your head.
So their heads get harder.
Yeah, head spin hole. Yep. The body causes a solar protective reaction to friction on the hands and feet where calluses form to spread pressure and protect the underlying tissue from damage. Everyday repetitive activities from holding smartphones or heavy weights through to poorly fitting shoes can cause these calluses, but a cone-shaped head isn't the only injury to which breakdancers are prone. However, common issues include wrist, knee, hip, ankle, foot, and elbow injuries. And moves such as the windmill and backspin can cause bursitis. So yeah, there are a lot of things you can do to mess up your body, but the head spin hole is unique to breakdancing. And there you go. How exciting is that? And there's even a graphic to show you what not to do. They should have the little knot thing through it, right? The little circle with the slash. Yeah, don't do this unless you want a hole in your head. All right, that's unique to... There we go. We've talked about that. There's a bunch of IT stuff, which Skep is going to be annoyed if we talk about it. But we can talk about this. We can talk about this. Advertisers and publishers call on Apple CEO Tim Cook to suspend... Come on, load. iPhone's new distraction control feature. Is anybody familiar with the distraction control feature?
Nope.
No.
Okay, here's the distraction control feature. What it essentially does is it allows you to remove things that annoy you from a web page. So you're in Safari, you've got your iPhone, and you just go, I don't want to look at this ad. I don't want to look at this scrolling thing. I don't want to look at this menu. You can just selectively say, on this page, I don't give a shit about whatever it is you want to put your finger on. And the idea being that you can, for a particular page, have a more focused sort of experience. You can just flick away the parts that annoy you on a web page. Needless to say, there are people in the advertising world who think that this is a terrible idea because the things that are going to be gotten rid of are the things that they care about a lot. Yeah. Yeah. I mean...
Yeah, well, fuck them. They're soulless minions of orthodoxy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is sort of what technology is supposed to be for. Who was it that was talking to me about cascading style sheets last time?
Geodes.
It was Geodes. Oh, okay. Yeah, well, he's not here. But yeah, there are all these ways that you can sort of customize the way web pages look, even without all of this sort of stuff. You can say, I don't like blink tags. So you can make the blink tag not work. I don't like my links to be underlined. I like them to do something different. You can affect all that stuff. But this is like a whole new level. This part of this web page offends me. Be gone. And you just flick your finger and it disappears. And it's still very much in alpha. It's not even remotely perfect. But advertisers clearly are not going to like this. This is a pretty good example of the iPhone engineers caring more about the customer than they do about other people, which is sort of what they should be concerned about, right? I mean, if somebody's selling you a product, don't you want your concerns to be first and foremost?
Well, the thing is also, like, the only advertisers that care are the sneaky little shit ones like Temu and Alibaba and Shein.
Yeah.
Because they're the ones who do those shit little pop-ups.
Yep.
And the advertising agencies who make big bucks off of them. Those are the only ones that care. Like, Nike doesn't give a shit. Hermes doesn't give a shit. Coca-Cola doesn't give a shit. They're like, don't care. So it's like, the only ones who care are the ones who are too small to really be worth anything. So I hope Apple doesn't bow to them, because they've done pretty good so far of not doing, but we'll see.
Yeah, well, a lot of times when Apple has, and again, I'm not being an Apple fanboy here. I'm just saying that it seems to me, because I don't even use an iPhone, okay? I do use Apple products, but I don't have an iPhone, for better or worse. I think that putting the customer first is a good thing. Now, Android Messenger, which is their messaging app, actually can talk to the Apple messaging app, and it's pretty close to being at the point where you can have end-to-end encryption. So if I were to send you a text from my Android phone and you received it on your iPhone, nobody could read it except you and I, not even the carrier in the middle. That's going to be huge. And there are huge sections of the government and private industry that do not want you to be able to do that, because they really love reading our text messages. So when the companies actually put the consumer first, it makes me smile, because way too often they don't do that. And so I think Apple's doing the right thing, but I think that potentially there could be some fallout over this because I don't see these scummy advertisers giving up without a fight. Like they might just block the entire page from you if you try to delete something from it.
Which, I mean, that's their prerogative to allow to do if they want to do it. But
Yep.
it's also going to make it harder for them to make that money back if they do that. So it's like, it's one of those, it's like what Wall Street Journal was doing to you, or Fortune, or whatever the hell it was doing to you earlier, where it's like, oh, well, you don't have subscription, you need to pay. And it's like, nope, I'll go around your ass.
Yep.
And that's kind of the thing.
Yeah. So functional. I have a good one for you. One that I think you're going to really like. So, U.S. backs first fusion of fast chemical rockets and nuclear electric propulsion. What they're proposing doing is making 100 kilowatt Hall effect thrusters. That's like so much power. Even with the low efficiency of this thing, we're talking about a lot of forward momentum for a thing of its kind. It's nothing compared to a chemical rocket, but this thing can just burn for a long damn time if you have enough propellant.
Which is good for space travel.
It is very good for space travel. So the United States Air Force has provided funding of $35 million to create a new spacecraft that can maneuver without regret. The University of Michigan is leading a team of researchers and institutions to develop this advanced spacecraft. The tech aims to combine the best of both worlds, the power of chemical rockets with the efficiency of electric propulsion. The key to this breakthrough lies in an advanced power source, a nuclear microreactor. Because you would need solar panels the size of 3 football fields to power this thing if you were anywhere near Jupiter. It's like, it's just not going to happen. You need like serious power. And you might say, oh, okay, well, that's all just sort of science fiction. Well, actually, it's not. Let me introduce to you. Let me introduce to you Ultra Safe Nuclear's Pylon transportable reactor platform. The reactors are already being built for this type of stuff and that are ruggedized for space, whether it's going to be your Martian colony or your space probe. Now they're talking about getting the reactor down to a really small size. So 100 kilowatts of power to run the ion drive. So, you know, you have like a one megawatt reactor. That's perfect.
We're getting closer to Fallout.
We are getting closer to Fallout.
Where they had little tiny neighborhood nuclear reactors. This way it powered the entire neighborhood.
Yep. So this thing is their thing called Pylon, and it's a little micro reactor, and they're working on making them small enough to use for like space probes and colonies and all that sort of stuff.
Again with the shipping containers.
Yeah.
I know, it looks like a shipping container. God.
So it says it can operate anywhere in the solar system, designed in a lander-friendly form factor, scalable from 10 kilowatts to 3 megawatts. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I thought you would like an ion thruster with that amount of power, because this whole it's going to take us years and years to get there thing is not going to be nearly as much of a problem if we start building ships like this.
Yeah.
Or
And
crap.
the next step is FTL.
Oh, that's a big step.
I don't care, Harry. Let me dream.
Watch that step.
Let me dream. Let me
I
dream.
see all the little pieces fitting together, like the experiment on the asteroid, the impact study.
Mm-hmm.
Probes with engines this powerful being able to go out, grab a chunk of rock, and then shoot it back to our orbit for study.
Mm-hmm.
More efficient than trying to haul a bunch of squishy meat bags in a tin can to the belt and then back, you know, like, so I can see where this is going, and it's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
If it's, I mean, is this theoretical or is this practical yet?
The main obstacle is honestly politics. People get really weird about sending anything with the N-word into space.
And all that
Well, I mean, this is near-term technology we're talking about here.
Yeah, they've done the theorem. They're working on the practicum.
And microreactors are a big deal. Remember when Trump was talking about nuclear and saying that the real problem is they try to build these enormous nuclear reactors and they run into all these regulatory hurdles and stuff? He definitely has been given the briefing on small reactors. And we've talked about small nuclear before, not this small. This is the smallest of the small nuclear we've talked about. I do think I mentioned things that generate heat using nuclear decay, but we're talking about actual reactors here. this is like a step up in terms of things. But yeah. For nuclear to make sense in a lot of ways, it needs to be closer to the size of the reactors that are powering the Ford-class aircraft carriers. Because a reactor like that could power a small city, like, say, up north where there isn't a lot of sunlight. There are definitely places where nuclear makes sense. But I don't think it's going to be the end-all and be-all if we get smart about AI. This whole building whole new classes of nuclear reactors just so we can have AI doesn't seem like a good value proposition to me.
Not yet. No.
And I'm not anti-tech at all. I'm not some kind of Luddite going into this conversation.
There's a cost-benefit conversation that has to be had about that. And it's like, sure, AI would be great, but could we maybe institute that for our everyday use first?
Yeah.
So we can get off other means, or at least diminish those means so that we're more sustainable. And like you said, in remote areas and poorer areas, or hell, even just for a place like, big cities like New York City, several of these smaller reactors could power a city like that, and you wouldn't have the brownout in the neighboring state affect the city because of the interruption to the grid or blah 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 blah. Like, you still would have a grid, but the interruptions wouldn't be as noticeable.
I think that there are industrial processes that would benefit from this, because instead of sending a bunch of power through the grid, if you know there's going to be a consumer of something, why not get like 4 or 5 businesses, heavy industry businesses, locate them near each other, and instead of sending power over the grid, just have a small reactor just feed all of them. Create an enterprise zone that has the most reliable power possible, and attract businesses in that employ people and build up your tax base. That, to me, makes sense, because there's not a whole lot of reason to store photons, put them into batteries, convert them back, upregulate them to higher voltages, send them over transmission lines, when if you know there's going to be a bunch of power consumed in a small area, just put a small reactor there to service that district.
It's very Star Trekian.
And you can use the waste heat that you would otherwise lose as input to another industrial process. Yeah. So like desalination, that kind of waste heat would actually be really useful.
Greenhouses.
Greenhouses, exactly. Or just keeping people from freezing during the winter.
Yeah.
But anyway,
heat is good.
Heat is good. So Serenity.
Yeah.
Story time for Serenity. Okay.
Okie dokie.
Yes, your network is down. You annoyed us, so much we crashed it. So this is a story about a guy who works in IT who keeps getting calls from a customer who hasn't been paying their bills.
Mm-hmm.
You get a whole bunch of complaints, and so they call up and they say, well, you haven't paid your bills. Well, I received a tirade of complaints about how we were holding them over a barrel and that making them wait was jeopardizing the very existence of their business.
Cool.
The incident took place in the time before internet banking, so the client added some complaints about the tiresome need to visit their bank to make it happen. But they eventually paid, and Ian headed to their office where he found no internet connection and a dead LAN. Ian logged into the router switch and found it scrubbed clean of all credentials and IP addresses, and would make the network function, almost as if someone had figured out how to administer a factory reset. And the guy said, I suspected the publisher had done some do-it-yourself troubleshooting, he told On Call, but the publisher insisted that they hadn't touched a thing.
Well, to be fair, depending on what the network device is, and considering they keep making them with factory reset buttons that the customers have access to, it could also be someone just pinhole reset it.
Could be. So
because I had that happen on point of sale systems that we had no control over. I had it happen on there was one that had a programmable bridge. Someone pinhole reset that.
Nice.
I had someone do that with a VPN.
So they just tried turning it off and on again.
Well, no, they tried doing.
I know.
They tried doing the home shit, and I had to have a conversation more than once. The conversation always went, "I understand, sir or madam, but you have to understand, I have no control past our modem. Once it goes past that modem, it is on the side of your security people or whoever put your point of sale system in. What you need to do is put a piece of black electrical tape over that little pinhole, and don't ever let anybody ever touch it again.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we have a single IP. I completely understand, sir, but we do not keep that on file for security reasons. You need to talk to your point of sales associate, and they need to call in with you on the line so you can verify, and then we can put everything in the modem. Until that happens, I cannot do anything. The most I can do is open it to a dynamic instead of a static IP, and then you're going to have to use it from that point, but your point of sale is probably not going to use it because they don't like dynamic. That is the only thing I can do, sir.
So
You can tell I've said that a few
You've
times.
caught up. So Ian decided it was a glitch, fixed the router, restored internet and LAN service, and then returned to his office. Later that day, a colleague asked Ian if he had visited the publishers. Ian explained that he had indeed visited and reported the strange state of the router, at which point his colleague spilled the beans. Earlier in the week, the delinquent client had actually responded to an invoice by disputing it and claiming to have been overcharged. My colleague was so annoyed by that claim that they logged into the router and wiped it.
Nice. I can neither confirm nor deny that I have done this, or have just randomly started making the modem just turn itself on and off again.
Always pay your doctor, your lawyer, and accountant on time, and don't piss off people who make your food. And then added to that list is if somebody is remotely managing your router, pay your damn bill on time if you want to still have internet. I don't know if this actually happened, but I like the story, and I like to think that it happened.
It sounds like something I did that to one person because they kept calling in and they kept annoying because they. For those who do not know, when you are on either business or civilian level, you have to have an authentication code because we have to make sure that if you're going to do any changes to an account, we have some way of authenticating you to the best of our ability.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a Patel who owned a hotel.
Mm-hmm.
Shocker. Anyone who knows that knows that's not rare. Who kept calling in, but because he couldn't give the authentication code, we couldn't do anything for him. So he just kept calling in because he kept trying to think he'd get a representative who would stop asking for the authentication code.
Yeah.
Even though we note the account. So it's just like 3 pages of people going, this guy just keeps calling. So I, to stop him from calling, started to randomly send desyncing signals to his phone modem. Just to get him to back off for a little while. And then, when you know it, the next day, the guy who was actually on the account, who actually had an authentication code, called in. What a concept. But
Yay!
yes, I did that for about 3 hours. And
Good times.
He was annoying. It was because for anyone who's calling to a call center, most call centers are predominantly female. It's just the nature of the job, whether you agree with it or not, I don't give a fuck. But Patel men do not take well to talking to women because they think we're stupid. F word.
Yeah.
So they talk down to us. They treat us like crap. They harangue. They belittle. They get just close enough to cuss, but not fully.
Aren't they Brahmins?
Indians.
No, I'm talking about the sect. So there are different.
I
there's
don't know.
Okay, there's a castes, and I know about the Patel thing. A bunch of them moved to the U.S. and as a family decided to just buy all the freaking hotels they could get their hands on. So, yes, there are lots of people named Patel with that surname who own hotels. Now, in terms of Indian folks, of which I know tons, there's a caste system, and the Brahmins are one of the highest castes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those guys tend not to deal with American women all that well. They tend not to deal with a lot of people all that well because they're really used to being on top. And we don't have a caste system here, so it sometimes causes friction when they don't adapt to being in the U.S. right away.
Oh yeah, but
I deal with that at my work too.
Yeah,
it's my favorite part of the day if we have to deal with that.
Mm-hmm.
And to be very clear,
I like
Hashtag
to
not
scare
all.
them down.
Yeah.
And to be very clear to some people in chat, in case they say that you're correct. There are women who can be stupid. There are also men who can be stupid. My issue is that when you start talking to us derogatorily wise, and we're the ones who control your internet, probably not smart.
Yeah.
Especially when there's those of us who know how to do a rekerneling of your modem. That's not a smart thing to do.
Well, I had when I was
and I will not hesitate.
I almost said where I was working.
You
In the
told you to do
past,
that.
when I was working at a place that shall not be disclosed, there was a tech writer who was this Indian lady, and she sort of became like my de facto Indian mom. Like if I had an Indian mom, it would be her. Lovely.
The Indian women are amazing. I love them.
Lovely, lovely, lovely woman. Fantastic. I mean, she like loaned me cookbooks, and I learned a bunch of cooking stuff from her, and she was just an outstanding person. Okay, she gets to go on the space arc. When the big balls come into Earth and destroy everything, Anjali gets to be on the space arc. That's my decision because I'm in charge of building the space arc. And her husband came home one time when a group of us from work were at her house, and she was making lunch for all of us because she's just that nice.
Yeah.
And it was her husband, and he came in and just sort of bloviated and just did his little thing, and she just kind of rolled her eyes at him when he wasn't looking, and then he just walked up. Yeah, that's just him. He's just like that. Just you don't pay any attention to him. None of us do.
Yep.
So Indian women have got their number. You know, they sort of know how to deal with it. But when you're in that position of being in like tech support, and you've got some high caste person calling in who doesn't know how to deal with normal American people, it can suck sometimes.
Well, it's also we can't respond in the same way. Like we can't ignore him.
Exactly.
So we have to go. Yes.
You
sir,
can
no,
roll
sir,
your eyes
yes,
though.
yes.
I mean,
Oh yeah, no, I never.
You can
hesitated.
whiplash yourself
and
by
I
rolling
was,
your
and I
eyes.
was in chat because you always have. That's the other thing for anybody who ever does calls into call center. Understand there is a floor chat going on, and they're talking about everybody.
Yep.
Who calls in? But yeah, I would just like, oh, so and so's called in again, because he got me like 3 times too. Because it tries to reroute you to the previous representative because they're more likely to help you, be able to, because they already know your problem usually and go from there. So he got me 3 times, and the 3rd time he hung up on me.
Okay.
Because he recognized my voice.
Me again.
So shall we do the last thing, right?
Go for it.
And you know there's a general theme that I sort of go for the last thing. So buckle up. Stumbled across this meme. This content is no longer available. Okay. Asshole. Fine.
Yay!
Son of a bitch.
Did you save
Okay,
it?
well, did I save it?
Apparently not. Okay.
Let me see if I can. Let me see if I can bring it up. Just talk amongst yourselves for a moment.
Something lesson about life.
Oh, I know what the title is, but I don't want to ruin the surprise. Oh, here's the thing. We may have to do this other one next week, but here's the thing.
Oh, Assassin Honey. I have known you for quite a while at this point. I can guarantee you, no, they don't.
Nope.
Because if you're a good customer, you're not in chat.
Yeah,
okay.
pretty
Well,
much.
I can tell you what happened because when I looked it up to see if it was real, I found this report with the FDA MotZ report, adverse event reported MRI scanner system nuclear magnetic resonance imaging. Patient was screened for an MRI and did not disclose that she had a butt plug inserted. She went in for the MRI, and when the MRI was over, the tech was pulling the table out of as the patient started to scream. The patient stated that she felt nauseous, was in pain, and felt like she was going to pass out. An ambulance was called for this patient, and she was sent to the hospital. Let me tell you how this ended. She's suing the manufacturer of said butt plug because they said it was 100% latex. However, not latex, 100% silicone, pure silicone. But it has a metal core in it that was not in the description. And so she's suing them because in the report that was sent out, they referred to what happened to it as an anal rail gun.
Just keeps going.
It ended up in a place where it was not supposed to be.
Well, yeah.
Please tell me she was an influencer.
I don't think you're that lucky, bud. She did not get repeatedly reamed in the booty hole and as an influencer, because we all know we would see that video on the internet. Guys, you don't understand. And then the one EMT dude who goes, no.
Yeah,
No.
the
Make sure
patient
the thing
has
has a
not
flared face.
returned any of our calls yet to try and follow up and see how she's doing.
Yep. Honey, I think it made her guts a straight line.
It does
Hey,
beg.
Camel, I think it made her.
It does beg a number of questions. First of all, why? Does it just give her that little bit of confidence to know that she's got her sneaky little secret in place while she's going to get an MRI? You do realize that in the MRI, everybody's going to see
They're
everything.
going to see it.
Yeah.
Because silicone shows up on the MRI.
Yeah. It's
But it's
like a
also one of
thing with a
those
different
things, it's like-
density.
Depending on how used she is to the butt plug, that probably was causing the fucking nausea. Because that's a...
One can only speculate about the effects of the anal railgun.
Like I said, her intestines are a straight line now. That's
Yeah.
what it is. Just... whoop.
Yeah, I forgot my labia piercing just seems like not a big deal compared to the anal railgun.
Oh God! Oh God! Ugh. Just my brain automatically went to the guys who have Prince Alberts and just not telling anybody they have them. Oh,
Yeah. For God's sakes, if you're going to have an
Disclose
MRI,
everything.
disclose everything. Make
They've
sure that
heard
it's medical grade, non-magnetic metal. If it's in, like a stent or something, is going to be safe, right?
Yeah.
Because it's made of a material that has no magnetic reaction, not enough for an MRI to cause a problem. Apparently, adult toys don't fall in that category. Oops.
Well, yeah, because it. Oh, never mind. But still, it's one of those things where it's like, I can guarantee you, as someone whose mother who maybe didn't work on the medical side of a hospital, but at least worked in hospitals my entire life, they've heard everything, honeys. Just tell them. They do not care. You may cause some snickering behind a door, and that's going to be the extent of it. Most of, especially if you get the old nurse who just looks like she just could, a nuke could go off next to her and she wouldn't be phased. She's heard it all. Just go with it. Do not lie to your nurses. Do not lie to your doctors.
Humans have been degenerates since time immemorial. Don't worry.
Good God in heaven, have they?
Yeah. So much stuff is going on. They do not have time to care about your individual
Be honest, you'll get out of there faster.
stuff. All right. So we've been going for 2 hours. We should probably wrap things up so that everybody can go off to slumberland. Any final thoughts before we go?
Stop being degenerates, you degenerates.
Yeah. And
good luck at the polls.
Yeah, and make your own hot and sour, your own sweet and sour sauce. For God's sakes, bunch of savages. There's like so much.
Do they have the Arch Deluxe?
That's new, so I don't think they'd have it in
Probably
1970s
too new, yeah.
recipes. But
Dude,
if you
I'm still
take
gonna
two
try
Royale
all of
with
those
cheeses and
recipes.
stack them on top of each other, you'll probably get an Arch Deluxe. All right, I'm going to call it then. Thank you. This has been your Saturday Minions of Zoo. Thank you, panel. Thank you, chat. The zoo is closed. Good night, everybody.